out today shows that 1 in 4 people who've died from COVID-19 across England, Scotland and Wales also had dementia. But with funding for research into the disease on the decline, more than a third of researchers are considering quitting the profession. I would like to speak now to someone who knows all too well about the reality of living with dementia, Olive Munro, who joins us alongside the Chief Executive of Alzheimer's Research UK, Hilary Evans. Great to have you both on the programme this morning. And of course, I'm going to start with the person speaking to us from Perthshire this morning, Olive. Just tell us a little bit, if you can, about that diagnosis that you received back in 2015.
Well, in January 2015, I was told that I had, how I was told about it, he says, I've got good news, you don't have Alzheimer. However, you do have vascular dementia, which I didn't know what it was. And I had to write the words down because I figured I would forget them. And then I came home and looked up and was quite devastated. It's not an easy thing to live with, simply because, and it took me about a month, but you're not knowing where your brain's going to die or anything like that. So it took me about a month, and then I just said, okay, you've got to pick up your feet, get on with life, and do the best you can and live today for today.
Well, Olive,
so it was.
Sorry, Olive, I was just going to ask, how has it affected the way that you live your life in a day-to-day fashion?
I'm very conscious of everything that I do and don't do. I have noticed things. One of the things, actually, the last couple of days that I've noticed, I have lost being able to pronounce some words. I have a problem remembering words, and luckily enough, I've got my husband who constantly, I'll say, what's that word I'm looking for? But it was actually 2 days ago, 2 words that I was trying to say, I couldn't say them. I don't remember the words now, but I couldn't actually say them. And it took me quite a number of times before I have not. So I'm constantly, everything I do, I'm thinking, am I doing this right? Have I lost something? So I'm constantly looking out for that on a day-to-day basis, because I could go to bed at night and get up in the morning and I've lost something. That's the problem with vascular dementia. It's awful.
You're doing remarkably well this morning, Olive, particularly speaking on national television. You're a darn sight more eloquent than a lot of my colleagues, let me say that. But of course, you've been having to manage this condition at a time when so many people have been shielding, when so many people have just been concerned about COVID-19.
Yeah, I'm very lucky in the fact that I live rurally. And when we only go out to the shops once a week. I don't really want to go out anymore. And when I do go out, I'm very cautious. I make sure that I do all the precautionary stuff. Luckily enough, I've had my first injection, which is good. And my second one's already booked. So that's very exciting for me. But it is hard because I do have a cousin who went into a nursing home during COVID, and I've only been able to see her once, and yet she lived with me. For 2 years, I went down to her house every week, and then 6 months she lived with me. So it's very, very difficult in that respect. And then I worry, especially with COVID going on, I won't call the doctor, of course, because they've got too much going on. But I worry that something drastic's going to happen. And then what's my husband going to do? Where is he going to get help in this time?
Yeah. Well, let's bring in Hilary Evans. Hilary, of course, you're the Chief Executive at Alzheimer's Research UK. And just tell us about the data that you've produced in terms of the research funding, people leaving research, and of course, many people will be concerned by the fact that so many deaths with COVID-19 have taken place with dementia with Alzheimer's?
Thank you. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And this has been obviously a really challenging year for everyone, but particularly those people living with dementia. But obviously, a lot of people living with dementia have lost their lives due to COVID. 1 in 4 people who've died from COVID-19 have been living with dementia, which is a shocking statistic. And I think just highlights the challenge that is still faced by dementia. We have no treatments, no way to stop, no way to prevent this disease. And for us at Alzheimer's Research UK, that is our ultimate goal, to come up with those treatments. The only way that we can do that is to invest in research. And actually, over the last 12 months, that's been at threat. So charities like my own, Alzheimer's Research UK, have struggled with not the sort of income that we would have been expecting from fundraising over the last year. And we've been really hoping that we'll hear more from the government, who published in 2019 a moonshot for dementia research, so to double funding in dementia research, which will make a huge impact to scientists in the UK working on dementia. But as yet, we haven't seen any of that detail. And I think that's one of the things that's really worrying scientists in this area. So the statistic that you mentioned, around 1 in 5 dementia researchers worried about their funding, worrying about their career prospects. But what dementia researchers want to do is to help us find those treatments and help deliver treatments for people like Olive.
Hilary, just in terms of the progress, as you say, we're not in a position to cure it. How much advancement has there been in dealing with Alzheimer's over the past few years?
Yeah, well, actually, there's been some really big strides over recent years, and we have seen a steady increase in funding to date, and we don't want to see that progress that had been made lost over the next few years, which is going to be crucially important. And for us, there's actually been a huge step in understanding this disease, which helps us get ever closer to coming up with those treatments. So we're certainly much closer than we've ever been. And that's, I think, because we've had such a concerted effort in medical research. And we've seen what medical research can do over the last 12 months in terms of coming up with a vaccine for COVID. And we need that same kind of funding and concerted effort in dementia research.
Olive, I wonder if I might come to you for a final word on all of this. You've got the nation's attention right now. One hopes the Prime Minister is enjoying his porridge with a bit of you and I. If you could speak to him about, the experiences that you've had over the COVID-19 pandemic, and you'll have heard from Hilary there, the concerns about funding for Alzheimer's and dementia research. What would you say to Boris Johnson?
What I would say is, please support dementia research. You made a promise, keep that promise. It's so important. Something may not come about in my time, but it certainly will for future generations. It is absolutely imperative that the government support and come forward with funds for research. Please, please, for myself and thousands of other people, please give.
Olive Munro, Hilary Evans, thank you both very much indeed. It's great to talk to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.